I'm just saying this, all of you know companies should have vision, but this becomes very essential for developing leaders. Because when we talk to a group of leaders, we need to say what is it we are all doing together. And in order for a small purpose, the company should have an overarching purpose. I put on some vision here. One is from a government sector, the other one, say Apollo Hospital says, bring healthcare of international standards within the reach of every individual. Whichever place, I'm in the lab, I'm in nursing, I'm in surgical area, I must say, medicine to the patients here. So that is exactly the reason why your activities get well coordinated. The other thing is culture. As you're distributing power, as you take decisions, you need to have a way of doing things, right? It's not any which way. Each of us have got our own background and personalities. In Murugappa Group, we had what we called as a value system culture. We used to call them as 5 lights, which is passion, integrity, quality, respect, and responsibility. Now, one may ask, why practice this, right? It is just a thing that is hanging in everybody's room and it looks very nice. So, I think what is expected here, leaders, the senior people, are expected to demonstrate this in times of crisis. For example, we've had situations where we have huge quality problems with a lot of fanfare, a lot of advertising spend, and Japanese technology and all that is in the market, and within a few days, the chain is not working properly. It's not been assembled properly. Chain is the key thing there, because the chain for a derailer chain, and none of the mechanics on the roadside know how to do this. Huge orders pouring in. I remember I was in the bicycle business at that point of time. So we all met and we said, what happened? We said, yeah, the Japanese came and trained a few people, but now a lot of people are doing this. Not everybody knows exactly how to do this. So we don't know really whether all the cycles we sent have been properly assembled or not. So we took a very difficult decision saying, we are not going to send any bicycle out till we check every one of them, we repair every one of them. It is right. I think we lost probably 2 months' sales. But we said if we didn't do this, all the money we spent will be good. Also, people would think that this is not going to work. It's some fancy thing these people did. I mean, the rest is history. And it opened up the new segment in the entire country of geared bicycles, which hitherto was only kind of import. What I say is, there the leadership has to show that I'm not going to compromise here. There can't be profits or short-term actions, overlooking quality, these kind of things. This was practiced right from the top level, I would say from the promoters level. Supposing we were even, somebody did this, obviously it happens, there are many people, many companies, and somebody may do a shortcut in order to meet the target, dispatch something which is not good. But I think if the customer happens to get back to the top management and says this was not done, it is found out that it has not been because somebody did it deliberately, I think definitely the action is very severe, rather than saying that you try to make profits. Now, communication, I would put this topmost in terms of developing leadership. Like one of my earliest bosses of business, he said, I asked him, what are your tips? He said only 3 things. Communicate. Because most times, people are not aligned because people don't know what exactly they are supposed to do. Because each job in a routine fashion. But what is beyond that is not known, because the perspective of the top management, middle and junior is. So we ought to be telling them how exactly business is happening, what are the various things which are going on. I think if you happen to do this, we had many forums for this. We have, like many companies have got this, town hall meetings. I remember when I was in the bicycle business, the challenge was we were told that the business may have to be closed down because we are not making profits. We are the least profitable in the entire group. And as a head, I used to communicate to our managers, which is every Tuesday. We used to call it a coffee meeting. There we used to say what's happening to the company, where are we winning, where are we, and it was an open forum. People could ask questions, people could give suggestions. And within 4 or 5 most profitable in the group, mainly because many people, not only the guys who are very senior and experienced, but I remember back from the coffee meeting, couple of guys, very young guys would come and say, why don't you do this? You keep talking about it, but are you doing this? So alignment, and then came the pride that we need to do this. So I think everybody needs to see himself or herself. Happens only if you communicate. Then we have annual communication to all the managers of what happened the previous year, including the business plan of the company as presented to the board. We also have this with all the workers twice a year, with also awards for recognition of various groups and all that. All of us senior managers walk through a manufacturing company. Bulk of the people are in manufacturing, so they need to see the leaders. So we walk through, we see the improvement, chairman's gold medal and managing director's gold medal annual and all those kind of things. There again we communicate the situation, the company's situation, the initiatives and stuff like that. Obviously, everything needs to be broken down. We had a system of what is it called policy deployments. So if the company had a goal, how each one down the line in part of it so that the overall system is captured. So if you roll up the targets of various people, goal, this process also takes into account areas of gray where something cannot be done by one individual or one function. So you need to put it as a joint goal rather than an individual goal, so it definitely benefits. Customer focus is something we always focus. I think that's also important in every business, including healthcare. We always keep reinforcing to our workmen and others, if there is a strike, a call for strike or any labor problem, paying your wages, right? If you stop, you won't get your wages. So the customer insight and cross-function, whenever we had serious quality problems, we sent the manufacturing people with the customer, including the workmen. When they went and heard, I always felt, oh, this is such a serious problem. We thought the sales guys always make big noise about various things. Also needs to be in touch with the customer, because otherwise you only hear a secondary or tertiary kind of a view of what. Collaboration and trust building. I think if you ask me, in the Murugappa group there is the promoter group, and the promoter group leaves it to professionals like us to manage. Does it mean that we can do anything and get away? No. I think they don't get into the day-to-day activities of the company. We have a budget, we have a target on various things, maybe market share or whatever, but they don't bother us daily with where are you selling, whom are you selling to, whom are you employing. Absolutely no interference. Absolutely nobody tells us what is to be done. Suppose in the promoter family saying, you know so-and-so, can you help me with your connection? Yes, they will do. But they will not force this guy because he's my friend, but give it to this guy, or do this, or employ these people, because fundamentally they to be accountable. You should not be giving an excuse later saying, you asked me to do this. This is right? So you should not give a reason for your subordinates or your other leaders to say that you influenced them and hence they did it. Rather than they should come back and say, this is good for the company, the data shows this, this is the trend, this is how it has to be, is one of the ways in which you start collaboration. Other important thing about collaboration is, I think we need to hear the bad news. We should not, punish people who bring the bad news, because unless you did that, people start covering up. You don't really know what is happening. And as leaders, the more you're open, because I used to think if you said 3 things, a leader or a team member said 3 things, the team just binds like you don't know. You can't know everything. You may be whatever you're called, but you only know that certain things. Or I said I made a mistake. Now, the higher the people, the more they say this genuinely, start coming towards you and saying, oh, this guy also is fallible. This guy is also needing help. Rather than there is always, if I told him, will I be punished? Will there be some other consequences? Cross-functional teams, everybody is using this. I think if you want to move fast all organizations have to have ways of looking at multi-dimension in one stroke, rather than each dimension being looked at sequentially, and then you lose a lot of time. There is a lot of emphasis put on this. This also develop leaders, because you don't think that you have your kingdom, I'm dependent on somebody else. Then building confidence of the team. This is most important. Here, to, let's say, a cricket team. All of us are very familiar with the cricket team. So what is the goal of somebody like Gautam Gambhir? My team should always win. And who is important out of the 11 people? I think everybody. 6 stars, they're high up in the ICC ranking. So 2 or 3 are in the 50th or 100th, it doesn't matter, no. Do their best. Everybody is training, everybody is improving, everybody is firing. Of course, there is always a competition for the final 11 out of 25 or 30 or whatever number of people. I think it is the same attitude a leader needs to take. The leader should think every one of his team members should succeed. Every one of the team members should be a champion. Then you approach the whole thing very differently, both in terms of the way you approach the person, as well as the kind of... I think many people, each one requires different kind of input. Somebody needs help in data analytics, in people orientation. Somebody needs help in long-term orientation. Some of the people in the operational areas don't have much finance. So I think depending on what your team member needs, you ought to chip in, and then you need to. And in fact, one of the ways we have done this is we have what is called a business leadership. And people with 10 to 12 years with fast track kind of people who have always done exceeding. We see the potential. We gather some 20 to 30 of them across the group. There is a screening procedure, and then they are put through a management development program in something like an IIM or one of those programs tailor-made for us. Then they're asked to do many projects which have nothing to do with their business. They're asked to go and do a project in some other company and help them do that. It may be an investment, improvement, market share, or whatever it is. Then they come back, hand it over to the respective superiors, who are supposed to take special care of these guys, and by giving them stretch goals and additional responsibilities, these guys, over a period of time, who make it to the top. And then they are tracked. For the cases, like we've said, you know, in the senior positions, and people become CEOs and all that, we have started sending them to Harvard Business School. So there are a lot of leadership traits which are very important. They strongly support this. Top management has to keep asking all the time, what are the leadership pipeline, how many... I'll talk about performance appraisal, where it's very important to identify these high pots, and then we track them. We need to figure out how we are giving them more responsibility. We also need to see that where the leaders also have to be very decisive. Where the proper counseling, we have to let them go. Certain times we get very emotional thinking of their family and other things, but I think if you have sense in the organization, it's not good for the person, it's not good for the team. So overall, leadership is all about the attitude of the top management in terms of letting go, management in terms of proactively developing leadership, to see that we need leaders to run this business, leeway or freedom to do this, and then help them to grow more and more confident in executing tasks and taking decisions on their own. Just to conclude, I thought there are some of the misconceptions about leaders, that leaders always should be high in the hierarchy, and leaders leader is always a boss in all situations. It is not so. I think today, this situational leadership, we have a group of 5 people, whoever has the best knowledge, I think that person should lead, not the guy who is high up in the title. It matter, where everybody cannot butt in. We need to hear the experts, and then accordingly we should do this. So these are some of my, and I would like to end with a video which sums up what I'm trying to say in a very succinct way. These are what others saying about leadership.
CEO. How do I change the organization when I'm not in charge, where there's like 4 levels up above me? And the answer is change behaviors of somebody you have no contact with. The reality is you take responsibility for the environment you can control. So if we just work to create this little pocket of magic, what you tend to find is when you have well-led teams, those teams outperform all the other teams. Somebody from the team will eventually get promoted out to another team and bring all the lessons that you taught them and lead that team the same way. And then somebody there gets promoted and you have 4 magic teams, and you have 8 magic teams. Ripples inside an organization, and you don't even need to convert everybody. It's law of diffusion. Having a top leader who understands this stuff just means it's more. I mean, it's the only way. So don't worry about the CEO. Don't worry about the company. Just worry about what you can control.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And very crisp advice that you have given us. Just want to say at this occasion, and I think one of a big achievement of AHPI, CAHO and ANBAI is that you may not believe it, but MBBS and postgraduate curriculum, and we were able to lobby. We wrote the first book on communication and healthcare in the country. It's in its 4th edition. We were able to lobby with the government, with the MCI, and today, as we speak, more than 2 lakh students are being trained in the art of communication, not only in leadership. It's so important in healthcare. So thank you, sir. And now, since we are running a little behind on time, I will Dr. Madhuri Kanatkar address on universal health coverage, a dream or reality through leadership and governance.
Dr. Kiran Bedi, my not just the chief guest for today, but my own mentor, friend, philosopher, guide, leadership of the AHPI, and my dear friends. Firstly, except for Dr. Alex, I was not really aware of AHPI, but the reason I've come all the way from Nasik was that after 40 years of I took on another challenge of trying to bring about some changes in health, and I'm grateful to Dr. Ram. A lot of things required, and I think today health requires that if we have to have universal health coverage, it can be only through leadership and governance. And I'm really grateful to the organizers for inviting me and having both of us on the stage today. Thank you so much. So with that, I thought I could reach out to you. Disclaimer that these views are expressed